that means something to you that no one can take away. May 25th, 1990. May 25th, 1990. Was when I made the decision to step into the cooperative business lane, back then called MLM. Today we refer to it as direct sales. That was my red letter day. And I'm going to give you that story over the next several minutes as to why that date is ingrained in my brain for the rest of my life. So I'm going to encourage you as you listen to this message today that you find that date and make that your red letter day. Now, people ask me all the time. I got a phone call this morning about 7:15, and I was talking with a dear friend of mine, and he says, "Wes, what are you going to talk about this morning?" And I said, "I don't know. What do you suggest?" He said, "Well, Wes, I was in an elevator not too long ago, and there was a group of gentlemen talking about a red letter day." He says, "I think you need to talk about the red letter day." So it meant something to him, and apparently it meant something to that group of gentlemen. So we're going to talk about a red letter day. Now you may think for a moment we're talking about maybe New Testament. I'm not going to get scripture on you today, but I think that's important. I think it's very, very important. It's got its place. But a red letter day is where you've driven a line in the sand, not put a mark in the sand. You've driven a line in the sand, and you are going to take responsibility for your financial future. And for those of you that don't have a red letter today, how about today? Is that good enough? Would you guys like to take today as your red letter day? Maybe something that I say will resonate to you that you decide that today is my day. May 25th, 1990. You see, I'd worked with the Parts and Service Division of Ford Motor Company. Had been with them almost 7.5 years. And I did what my mom and my daddy told me to do. My brother and I grew up in a broken family. I lived with my mom for about 13 years, and then the remainder of my teenage years I was with my dad. And it was a real troubling time at times, but yet I was exposed to all types of things in life growing up at 13, 14, 15 years of age. But my dad instilled in me, he said, "Son, you're going to learn. You're going to learn a trade. You're going to learn. You're going to get an education." See, my dad was a farrier. He nailed shoes on horses' feet. And he put my brother and I through school, driving steel. And during the summer months, I had to work for my father at age 13, pulling shoes, and eventually be an apprentice to be able to shoe my own horses and do those things. But it was hard work. I knew there was a better way. The sweat running off the end of my nose. I knew there was a better way. But Daddy said, "Son, I want you to get an education. There's a big college right up the road here. I want you to get an education. I want you to get a piece of paper." He says, "I want you to get a job with a big company. I want you to get a great salary." He says, "Son, listen to me. I don't want you sweating every day like I've done for 40 years. He says, "Son, when you get that education, there's going to be a woman that comes into your life. I want you to get married. I want you to buy a home and raise me some grandchildren." And he says, "That day you're going to be happy." Y'all remember the overview last night? That's the way I was brought up. That's the way I learned life. And 7 years into that corporate venture with Ford Motor Company, guys, my blood that ran blue. Ford blue. I was there. But after a period of time, I began to think to myself, this is not life for me. They control 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Me. My personal life, my horse life, it all had to be pushed to the side. It was all about Ford Motor Company. And I woke up that day on May 25th, 1990. That was my red letter day, and I called my dad. I said, "Dad?" He said, "Hello?" I said, "Daddy, do you love me?" He says, "I sure do, son. What's wrong?" I said, "I just want to make sure because I'm fixing to quit my job." He says, "Son," he says, "I helped you get through school. We've extinguished the student loans." He says, "Things are going well for you. I know for a fact you're making $110,000 a year. You get a new corporate car. You're driving a Lincoln Town car every 90 days. He says, "Life is good for you. You've got a home. You're starting a family." He says, I know you're happy. I said, Daddy, I'm not happy. And I'm quitting my job. He says, what are you going to do? I said, I've met a gentleman down in Dallas, Texas, and I watched this guy in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And I said, he's making over $400,000 a month. This gentleman went on to earn over $1 million a month for 4 years, month in, month out, for 4 years. Held the record as one of the most prolific networkers in the space. We lost him to cancer 3 years ago. It was a very emotional day for me. But I told Dad, I said, Dad, this guy is marketing a service that we all need. My most dreaded utility bill back then was my long-distance phone bill. Some of you in here don't have a clue of what I'm talking about, but some of you do. $1.25, $1.50 a minute. It was a dreaded utility bill for me. It was 4 digits to the left of the decimal point every year. And when this gentleman told me that I could save up to 50% every time I hit the one key, I was in. So my daddy asked me in that conversation, he says, what's the name of the company? And I told him, he says, son, I've never heard of that company before. You're going to go to jail. And we talked for a few more minutes. I said, son, Dad, I don't think I'm going to go to jail. I said, everything's going to be just fine. He says, tell me the name of the company again. And I did. And he says, West, forget jail, you're going to prison. For 2.5 years, my dad and I missed Christmases together. I never spoke to Dad for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. That became a red letter day for me, and it became a red letter day for my family, because at that time I made a decision to get out of the old way of thinking. Now, naturally, I hadn't met Mr. Robert Oblon. I didn't understand the quotient of happiness. I never understood that it was a choice. I thought you had to earn happiness. And that's okay. If you're feeling that way today, we're going to change that thought process. You don't need to waste 28 years of your life to make that adjustment. 2.5 years went by, and we had an event in Atlanta, Georgia. The Georgia World Congress Center was the happening spot back then. And I called my dad, and I said, Dad, I'd love to buy you dinner. We love to eat at the Varsity. Has anybody had a chili dog from the Varsity in downtown Atlanta before? It is the place. I love the Varsity. And that was the way that I coerced my father to come see me, was that I was going to buy him a chili dog at the Varsity after that event. Dad came, we put him on the front row. There were over 5,000 people that night. And I was the 7th speaker that evening, and I received a check, a cardboard check, back when we used to do that. And it was very significant, about $94,000. And we had dinner after the event. And my dad says, son, you need to explain something to me. You were making some significant money on yearly income. He says, why did you give that up to earn $94,000 and some change? And I said, Dad, you need to understand that was last month's income. And a tear. Yeah. A tear began to come down his face. It's emotional. I said, Dad, I love you. And I love my mom. And I said, but you guys taught us a little wrong. I said, 28 years of my life has passed by, and I could have done things differently by being happy first. Now, folks, I want to tell you something. It hasn't been a bed of roses. We've had those ups and downs, but we've done extremely well. I love the industry. But more importantly than that, it's not about the money. It's about the relationships that you build along the way. Yes. I mean, I look around, and there's many times that I think I'm closer to my entrepreneurial family, my networking family, my direct sales family. That's my family today. Are y'all with me on that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my family. So, when my friend told me this morning to talk about the Red Letter Day, I thought it was important to share that with you, because there's unconditionally. I just celebrated my 28th year full-time in direct sales, May 25th, 2018. And I'm healthy. And I'm wealthy. presentation today, I want to give you guys some things. I want you to understand that things just don't happen by happenstance. You got to force it sometimes. Everybody say force it.
Force it.
And it starts with that red letter date of where you're going to force that date to be your date. That is the day that you're going to change things. You're going to take a stand. You're going to make a difference for your family. Does that make sense to you guys? It's all about your family. What have you added to the bottom line at the end of the day? But there's a lot of things that need to happen to create the red letter day. And, you know, I could have tucked my tail that evening on the phone with my father and said, you know what, Dad, you're exactly right. Eileen, I could have said, Dad, you know you are right. You've always been right. I'm going back to the job in the morning. I'm not turning in my resignation. I'm going to stick with what I've been doing for 7 years and maybe it'll get better. But I didn't. I took a stand. That was the day that I became a man. That was the day that I took control of my life and decided if it was going to be, it was truly up to me. But things have got to happen for that red letter day to be significant for you. Things have got to happen. And I'm going to talk about that in detail. So what I want to do right now, you guys can close your eyes and think about this, or you can just sit here with your eyes open. I'm not going to tell you which way to go, but I just want you guys to imagine something. We're going on a ride this morning. And I want everybody on the bus with me. I want you guys to go on the bus with me. Now, this just isn't your average bus ride. This is a safari bus. We're going down into the plains of South Africa. And everybody's on the bus. We've got a lunch selection. You can have bag 1, 2, or 3. The differences are we've got pimento cheese sandwiches with a dill pickle in bag number 1. Number 2, we've got a little brisket sandwich. And number 3 is a little cup of soup. Pick whatever you want for lunch. This is a long journey. And Mr. Robert Ogle, I don't think he's in the room, but he's our driver today. He's our driver, right? And you got to picture this, guys. We're going through the Mahatanyahu deserts of South Africa. And we take off on this journey. We look out to the left and we see these giant giraffes. It's just a whole pride of giraffes. Just doing what they do. They got their heads in the air, eating the canopy of leaves up high. It's a beautiful sight. We continue to drive, and over to the right, there's a pride of lions and lionesses, loving their families, doing what they do. And everybody's just in awestruck wonder of the beauty of what we're seeing. And we begin to travel on, and we see a group of gazelles playing in the tundra. And we continue to drive through, and Robert's driving, and all of a sudden, he hits the brakes. We all rock forward. Sandwiches fly on the floor. And you can hear a pin drop. In front of that picture window, in the front of the bus, is a 2,800-pound African elephant. 8 feet of tusk, 16 feet in total, staring in that front window. Piercing eyes, torn wings, what we call ears, fanning. You can hear the pins drop. Not a word is spoken. Knowing full force that this elephant could destroy our entire vehicle with one push. He raises his trunk, makes a loud noise, and the rest of the herd comes by the bus. And we watch this movement, and he turns and he goes back into the forest with the herd of elephants. And we turn and we look at one another and we think to ourselves, wow, that was a close call. So immediately my mind goes to thinking about circus elephants. How many of you have ever been to a traditional circus and you've seen the elephants? And yeah, it's an amazing feat. So I began to do a study about elephants when we got off the bus, and I began to learn a little bit about what happens when an elephant is born in captivity. When an elephant is born, he weighs between 275 pounds and 300 pounds, male and female. And within 3 days, that elephant is chained to a post. Yeah. The elephant is chained to a post, and he stays chained to that post for at least 90 days. 90 days. And during that 90-day cycle, there's a period where that elephant's brain is reformed. And his mental capacity diminishes, and he begins to think that my world is only 8 feet in circumference. Keith, would you come over just a minute? So, what happens is that elephant can't move but just so far. And after 90 days, his master gives him a little more chain. Now, as this elephant begins to grow, and as he begins to mature, this elephant, knowing full strength, he's got the capacity, the muscularity to be able to break that chain at any point in time. As a matter of fact, if he's chained to a wall, he can pull the wall down. You know the expression, well, he'll just pull the house down. He can pull the house down. But his mind has been broken because he's been chained for over 90 days. So his thinking capacity is that I cannot break the chain. Within 1 year, that chain that is tethered around his leg is turned into a rope. His mind is broken. He cannot break the chain. He certainly can't break the rope. Think about it, guys. We know he can. But his mind is broken. His mind is broken. And there's a dimension here of only a few feet that he can operate and move. I'm at the end of my chain. This is my world. I've got 8 foot of movement. That's all I have. That's it. I can't go any further. I'm done. This is as far as I can go. It's over. I can't go any further. My world is contained within 8 to 10 feet of that chain. And it's interesting, after 6 months or so, they can take the rope off, remove the chain, and the elephant stays in that pattern cycle. He doesn't move. So somewhere in the course of the next 30 minutes or so, you're going to have to realize that you have a chain that's hooked to you. You got to break the chain. My chain was broken May 25th, 1990. I broke the chain. I broke the cycle of stinking thinking that I had to be like the rest of the world. And today, you need to break the chain. Break the chain. Don't let anything hold you back. And that red letter day, which for many of you may be today, it may be today, is the day that's going to change your life. Break the chain. It's interesting, as the years have gone by, who my father calls frequently. I hear from my dad 2 or 3 times a week now. We talk often. And guess who he calls when he needs something? Yeah. Our kind of getaway every year is Tunica, Mississippi. Has anybody ever been to Tunica, Mississippi? Kind of a little gambling town, right? One of the biggest team ropings in the Southeastern Conference is in Tunica, Mississippi. So during Labor Day every year, my wife and I always go, and my father comes and his family to see us rope and do what we do. That's every weekend. It's coming up. Got a text from him the other day. Just checking the dates, son. Looking forward to being with you. You see, that may not have happened. That may not have happened if I didn't break the chain some 28 years ago with my father. Now you may think for a moment that West is just talking about words and sentences and sentence. Verbiage, just verbiage, but it's real, it's emotional, it's my story. It's my story. And because I took that time and I drew the line in the sand and I said, this is going to be a different day for me. And I did that. It's been a different career for me for 28 years. Y'all with me on that? So when I had the opportunity to meet Robert some 17 months ago now, and we were talking business, and the Yellowpreneur name wasn't even created yet. Keith and Katie and myself, we sat down and we were talking business with Robert, and then there was a couple of follow-up meetings a day or two after. And guys, it was a real emotional time because I'd already drew a line in the sand that I was done. Everybody say done. We were done. I had been through my journey of the direct sales marketplace. I've been with 11 companies prior. In 27 years at the time, when I first met Robert, this is my 12th and final company, but because of the salesman that he is and the integrity that he presented to me, that one setting, I came all in. All in. And as you listen to him speak today, and he gives that State of the Union address, I want you guys to understand something. Everything that he says, to the best of his ability, will be reality. I have never quite met a man that has a vision like Robert. So if you ask Robert if he has a red letter day, he's going to tell you that he has a red letter day. And he'll tell you specifically when that day is. The neat thing about that red letter day is that I'm chained up. The neat thing about his red letter day is that it's very, very emotional for him as well. And I want everybody to understand something here today. Break the chain. Whatever is holding you back from picking up that telephone and making that phone call to talk about dose, to be able to talk about this functional beverage that we've got. Guys, it doesn't get any simpler than this. It doesn't. Whatever it takes. You know, we've had different experiences through the years. We've talked about moving the pennies from one pocket to the other. Guys, make a phone call every day. You don't have to do 10 or 12 a day, just one a day. Do something with your business every day. Every day. Because if you're truly going to break the chain and create that red letter day that's going to mean something for your family, then you got to do something with it every day. Every day. Don't skip a day. Do something with your business every day. Back to us. We turn around and we go back to the safari hut, and everyone is in just unbelief with the wild nature that the Lord has provided for us to see. And we begin to understand that life is very, very fragile. We begin to see that, man, our lives could have been taken just like that. And for some reason, we're all here today in Branson, Missouri. We're all here together today. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. We're here for a reason. Collectively, this group right here, that's right here in Branson, Missouri, at the Chateau on the Lake, can dominate the Yellowpreneur Company by year end.
Yes.
Everybody that's in these seats today, you can take over your future right now. Now, a lot of times we talk about money. You know, Robert has beat me in the head. You guys can see a little bald spot right here. That's where he's tapped on me. When he talks about course correction, he'll tell you in that conversation, Mark, it's Weston Mark. He's hammered course correction on me because I would spend about 10 minutes talking about a product, and the remainder of the presentation, 45 minutes to an hour, Keith, was about the money. We don't need to do that anymore. Talk about your product. The rest of it will take care of itself. The rest of it will take care of itself. Break the chain. Break the chain. Find your red letter day and make a difference in the people that mean something to you. I'm working intently in helping the company create something special here. Something where a piece, a fraction of the action, a portion of the dividends is given back somewhere very, very special in our country. Whether it be Kids Against Hunger or Cancer Foundations, wherever it may be. Guys, I want you to understand something. The ears of our corporate staff are wide open now. And they're listening intently to all the good things that the rest of the companies in the industry have closed their ears to years ago. It's different here. It's different here. And the alignment of professional corporate executives and field builders that are aligning themselves with the Ellepreneur opportunity, like Robert says, you can't script it. It's happening. And as I said last night, unconditionally, you can deposit this just like legal tender. The Ellepreneur business model, the Ellepreneur company, it will become the most talked about opportunity in direct sales this year. And the only way that it's going to impact you personally is if you get off the chain. The only way that it's going to mean something to you is if you create that red letter day and you build from that red letter day. I ask questions a lot of times to Ellepreneurs. Well, how long have you been in? Well, I got in sometime in January. That don't mean anything to me. And it doesn't mean anything to them. We need to know specifically. So get in your back offices. Look at your start date. Maybe that will be your red letter day. Maybe it will be today. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe on your flight home or your drive back to Ohio. Who was here last night from Ohio? Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for driving in from Cleveland, Ohio. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, it may be somewhere this side of Columbus, Ohio, that they say, you know what, today's our red letter day, honey, this is it. And that little old guy that was talking on stage from Tyler, Texas, he said something that resonates with me. It's today, honey, are you ready? Starting point that you can build upon. The foundation has always been here. The Ellepreneur Foundation has always been structured, but we didn't understand the vision months and months and months ago. It takes a while to learn, to be able to feel what Robert's putting out front, to be able to understand what John Fleming and these executives are pushing forward. It's been difficult a lot of times for us to grasp it. But let me tell you something, guys. We got it now. We have it now. The foundation is built on rock, and it's solid. It's solid. And for somebody that comes up to you and they say, you know what, we've seen things like this before. No, they have not. I want you to be bold and say, you know what? You have not seen this before. This is totally different, and we're building it for you. Why are you being a naysayer? We're building it for you. They're going to say, well, why are you so passionate? And that's when you roll in. Kelly, that's when you roll in and you say, I have broke my chain. I broke my chain. I broke my chain. I broke my chain. and I have a red letter day, and we're building something special. Do you want to get on it and go with me or not? Folks, we're bringing in people right now. I'm not even talking about coffee. I don't even mention a comp plan. They're just watching. They're watching. As I close, with one boot on and one off. Let's give Keith a round of applause. That was a tight change. Please, don't do it for me. Don't do it for our wonderful host, Garth and Eileen. Don't do it because you just feel like you need to do it. Do it for yourself and your family. Do it for your family. Is it worth it to you? Yep. If you don't do it, nobody else will. I want to thank you guys for listening so intently. Thank you for your time. More importantly, if you feel like today might be that red letter day, let me know later in the day that it is. That it is. All things are possible through Christ Jesus, who strengthens us all. Philippians 4:13. It's stamped on everything I have in my briefcase. It's there. Live by that. And that's my message today. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you feel conviction? Can you feel passion? Can you feel this is a different opportunity? You know, I'm a firm believer that throughout